Welcome everybody to another video, and in this video folks we'll be covering the London system and also some aggressive traps of the London system. And if you want all of those things, please listen to the video. And this opening starts with d4 and then d5. Most openings go and develop the knight first, but we are gonna go and develop the bishop first on f4. And so if that happens, the most common response is f6. We are gonna go trying to support this pawn on d4. Why are we not going knight to f3 right away? Because they can go bishop to g4, and if you were to move that pawn to e3, well then folks, the knight is pinned to the queen, and it's very hard to play for white here. So I suggest you go pawn to e3 first, and that way there's lower chances that the opponent can go for the move bishop to g4 first. The most common move after the move e3 is c5. In this position, folks, there are two options that you can do. If they go here, you should go here right away. But there's another aggressive method that I would prefer. Why would I do this, folks, on knight to c3? Because after knight to c6, developing their own knight, well then, folks, we are gonna go knight to b5, and we're gonna look for this fork right here. Pawn to e5, the most popular move to try to cover up the fork that we are making. But folks, that's nothing, because we are gonna go pawn takes e5. The knight must move. And so if it moves here on e4, we can literally just sacrifice our queen. Why would we sacrifice our queen? If they take our queen, we'll go and fork the king on e8. We will fork the queen on d5 and also the rook, which is insane, which is a triple fork. King to d8, we are gonna take that back. And so we got plus 2 points. We got a dominating position in the long run. And so this pawn will just dominate, and we will 100% win on this. The second most popular move according to this position is e6. And so what that does is support the pawn and meanwhile opens up the bishop to develop. The bishop on f8 can go bishop to d6 or bishop to e7. First, they will go bishop to d6. The most common response at this point. We will go knight to e5. That is the first option. But you can just let that bishop stay there. Why? Because if they take, we will take back. And we have so much power over this square, and so if we castle here, that is a great file for the rook later on in the future. Not mentioning that this knight can go here on e5 and maintain a much stronger position that can attack the black king later on if he castles there. Not risking that the pawns can be doubled. Well then folks, there is another option. Knight to e5, blocking the bishop from the attack of the bishop on e4. First, if they go castle, we will go bishop to d3, trying to develop our bishop and attack this pawn on h7, which is targeting most likely the king. And so if they go here, pawn to c5 later, try to challenge our pawn on d4, we are gonna go pawn to c3. In this position, folks, it is very aggressive. The queen can go here and try to trap the rook. So you need to keep an eye on that. Why the London system is very useful is that if they go here, pawn to c4, we're just gonna go back and still targeting the king. This is how the London system is very useful at. And so if they go knight to d5, we are gonna go knight to f7. And it is a discovered attack to the bishop on d6 and also an attack to the queen, which is a fork and also a discovered attack. And if they take the knight on f7, we will take back the bishop on d6. And now the result is we get plus 1 point of a pawn, and so we are having so much of a very strong position here with the bishop on d6. And it's a win-win situation. They might not go knight to f6 right away, but instead try to copycat you with bishop to f5. What are we gonna do is not go for the London, but instead we are gonna go pawn to c4, attack the pawn on d5, and try to have a very active spot for the queen to trap the rook early on the board. They have two options. They can either take the pawn on c4 or go e6. Let's talk about e6 first. A very passive play, and so we are gonna go knight to c3. And so we have so much piece activity than our opponent that if they go knight to f6, we will go queen to b3 right away and try to trap the rook. And if they don't move their knight, but folks, if they don't do that, but instead try to take our pawn on c4, well then folks, we are gonna go pawn to e3, open up our bishop, try to get that pawn back on c4. And so what will happen is that they will go and try to support their pawn back on c4. We will go queen to f3, and that is a tactical error. Why? Because they opened the pawn on b5 to trap their own rook with the move queen to f3 on themselves. So folks, we have won a rook on this game. There's nothing they can do. They might try to defend it, sure, but this is nothing. And if they don't do that and block with a pawn, we will take the knight on b8. If they take, we will take back the bishop on f5, and we're just plus 2 points. In this position, folks, I have talked about bishop to d6, but I haven't talked about bishop to e7. And so what will happen is we will go bishop to d3. If they go pawn to c5, we will go for the London system, and so if they castle, we will go knight to d2. We have the uppermost development here, since they have to go here, try to go for some piece activity later on in the game, which makes us a benefit. And so after that move, they might go b6. We are gonna go knight to e5, create an outpost for a knight, and now we have so much power over a knight. And so we could put that into use later on to attack the king. They might as well just go bishop to b7 because most people will, and most people will develop. We are gonna go queen to f3 because this bishop is ineffective because of this pawn. And second, we're gonna go queen to f3 because we're gonna go and bulldoze the king on this side of the board. And so if knight to d7 happens, which a lot of people will do, we will go, a lot of people might go h6. In this line, maybe they will. We will take the pawn, they will take back, we lost one pawn, that's fine. But in exchange, we have the queen breaching in to the king side on g8. And if they do something about it quickly, they might fall into checkmate with the bishop and the queen over here, if this knight gets traded. And so I will guarantee you, this is a winning position because your queen has breached in, and so you have so much pieces to attack the king, and it's very, very hard to stop black in this opening and in this line. You will go and pawn storm them first, and then go checkmate them. Because in this position, folks, if they don't go here, but instead develop their own knight on c6, we will go knight to e5, challenge their own knight back. And so what will happen is if they take, we will take back. We will have dominant position over the knight on f6, and so if they go back, this pawn is dominating the space of the black king. The black king is being suffocated. And so we are putting on that purpose because we are gonna go pawn to h4. What will happen is if they go here, try to trap our bishop, we will go and sacrifice our bishop. Why? Because if they take our bishop on h7, we will go queen to h5, and that checks the king on h7. And so if they go here, back, we will go knight to f3, and they will try to make the knight not go here on g5 because it will devastate them so much. But we're gonna ignore that and sacrifice the knight. Why? Because if they take back and these squares are covered, and so the king cannot escape, and checkmate is on the next move, the only thing that they can maybe do is try to sacrifice the rook. Because after that, they cannot do anything about it anymore. Because if they go king to f7, the only move that they can go to, we are gonna go pawn to g6, try to attack them with a pawn, and that's the only move to take the pawn for black. And so if they do that, this is checkmate. Queen to h5 is checkmate, and I will guarantee you, you might win a game like this. All they can do is try to sacrifice the bishop over here, and so we will take back. They will go here, and so according to the computer, this is what the position what we are left with. We are going to checkmate soon the king, and also we got +2 advantage according to the computer. We're just reaching in the king here, and these are all the procedures that we are going to go through according to the computer, and we're gonna win this position. And so, folks, I think those are all the lines that I have analyzed for the London system. See you guys in the next video. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video and if you learned something. We have a new Discord server on the description, by the way. Join if you want to. Don't join if you don't want to. Anyways, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.